Good. Okay, Alex, I'm gonna go give you the.
This session is being recorded.
Yes. Please go present. No, now you go ahead, because then I can, yeah.
Okay, I already presented everything.
No, just continue what you do, you know, as that.
Okay, so basically, again, Lightning Design is a CSS system, yes. We have components and our website is pretty good. What is very important, that's the very old thing, but you always forget it, yes, to put this.
Okay.
That's for the mobile.
Okay.
Without it, it will not work on the mobile.
So,
and
yeah, can I
yeah.
go back?
Oh, there is one more problem with our system, and that's a hack for this problem actually. If you try, our system shows, at least for Visual Force page, that you can put, I'm sorry, let me find it, not tiles, not trees, icons. Yes. So our system gives example of how icons should be used, and we have a lot of icons, but without this hack, it will not work.
Okay.
At least in a Visual Force page, and that's because at the end of the icon, system in the Visual Force automatically adds this to the end. So this hack, what it does, it actually removes it. Yes, and I put it into the variable and then use it.
Got it. So Alex, a basic question. So you use it when you have enabled Lightning and you have Visual Force pages, custom Visual Force pages, and you want to provide a Lightning look and feel on those custom Visual Force pages. That is when you use the Lightning design system, right?
Actually, yes and no, because if you enable Lightning, your Visual Force pages, regular ones, yes, will also be looking like Lightning. The problem with this is that a lot of Visual Force pages by default are not prepared to be used for mobile and for browser. Yes? So Lightning Design System allows you to have consistent thing, etc. Yes, with a little bit more work with a regular Visual Force page, but you have much more control.
So
when you need,
yeah, in a way it's responsive, right? So Visual Force page itself is not responsive, but with Visual Force plus Lightning experience, that becomes a responsive page, so that people can view it from browser or anywhere, right? iPhone as well.
So again, yes, you just get much more control, obtain much more control of what is happening, etc. So that's the purpose of the Lightning Design System. Also, Lightning Design System can be used on Heroku, for example, yes, etc. And it will also provide you the same interface like a Salesforce basically gives. So,
So what
so
is
to unify user experience?
What is the future goal for this? Because this is a lot of work, right? Editing, completely handwriting the HTML and the whole tags and other things. Is this the way this is going to be? What is the future strategy?
As I understand, that's the future strategy. Yes, basically, they even would like to create a Lightning design system for iOS. So, I mean, if you see the platforms that the system supports, yes, and I'm demoing to you right now only Visual Force part of it, but basically it is the same thing, yeah? So.
Can you see if Nathan, give Nathan that ID? I'm not sure if he pinged.
Yeah. But again, the most important thing to remember from this presentation, in my opinion, if you're going to use design Lightning system, about this hack, because without this hack, you can lose a lot of time to understand why your icons are not working.
Got it.
That's it, actually. Probably this one, just a reminder. It's the old news. Yes, it is always important for mobile, but that's also important.
Got it.
That's it.
So this is a long-term strategy, Lightning experience, and just make the video. Oh, it helps.
Yes, I believe that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But is this like platform specific? You just said, actually they have like a specific set for iOS, another for Android.
Yeah, because for iOS they will not need to provide CSS. Yes, they will not to provide. They will need to provide actually native controls. Yes, styled like they want, or components, native components, iOS components. So. But in my opinion, the strategy and the real value of these will be in the future when you have a mix of the applications from the Salesforce platform, which will be Lightning very soon completely, yes? And very soon, I don't know, 1 year or whatever. But also when the system you're working on is stored outside of our ecosystem. I don't know, for example, custom web service or web application on Google Application Engine, on Heroku, in-house application, yes? So if you convince your customer to use these, then the look and feel, and not only look and feel, and approach, yes, will be the same everywhere, basically.
So basically, this will be like a platform agnostic. It's not just for Salesforce applications. You can also apply the same for other web applications.
To any kind, yes. To any kind of application, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I see.
Mm-hmm. And this site is actually the only thing you need to work with it. I mean, except those small tweaks and problems, yes, it is a very good site. It gives you overview, guidelines, everything. I mean, it's a pretty useful thing, truly speaking.
Okay. Alex, since we didn't start a recording when you're showing us the demo that you did, can you maybe do it right now so that people can watch it?
Yeah. So that's the page in the browser. That's just actually this was login form on the iPhone. It's just big one, but it is on the iPhone. In the landscape mode, yes. Here it is the same iPhone, but yeah, that's the iPhone view, also iPhone view, iPhone view, iPhone view of the other page.
Yeah.
That's a browser. That's browser.
Uh-huh.
That's browser. So that's it. Again, and I did it pretty fast, this demo, so it's not very hard to do, truly speaking. It's not too much, it's not very, very, very different from the regular Visualforce page.
Uh-huh.
Though definitely, if you need to work on not to work, but to for example, show this time view, whatever, you need to type all that, or generate the or write the code which generate all that for you. Yeah, it's much more tags than Visualforce. But Visualforce page will not give you all those components.
Yeah.
So okay. I believe that those components are part of the real Lightning components. Yes, which are self-contained, basically UI elements you can reuse. So this is a low level. This is probably from low level of our Lightning components designs.
But can you also apply this the HTML and CSS by the Lightning design onto Lightning components as well?
You are thinking.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I believe that our Lightning components itself are built on top of these things.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So just to add to what Alex is saying, forget for the time being, forget about the Lightning design.
Yeah.
Right. So when you develop a user interface, do you know what are the three components of the user interface?
Yeah.
So what?
HTML, CSS,
And
then JavaScript.
okay, and these three components provides what three? So HTML is for the content, right? CSS is for your style, and JavaScript is for your behavior, right? So in similar thing, in your Lightning, all you are doing is you're using the LDS for the CSS part, right?
Yeah.
Lightning components is different, which is completely
No,
different.
he said for both the CSS and HTML. Alex, is it just for CSS or it's for both? I thought you mentioned.
No, it is both. It is both, yes, because you can apply certain classes only to certain elements. Not always to only for divs, yes, it could be more than divs, but there are limitations, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. So because the reason why it's a different framework altogether, right? That's what.
I think actually that this Lightning design is probably used and should be used inside our Lightning components.
Yeah, you can do that, or you can basically take a complete Lightning design and use mobile SDK and basically use that also.
Yeah, but you see, if you're using Lightning design inside Lightning components, you have a guarantee that everything is the same thing. Like iOS is very proud that all applications are looks the same. Yes, the same thing will apply in this way. You can create a Lightning component without Lightning design, but in that case, it will be much harder for you, yes, to make it look and behave like, I mean, you need. Guys, I have a meeting. I don't know if Steve, let me. I have one-on-one with Steve actually. So.
I think he's like he's not even here, right?
I don't know.
I can just ping him.
Yeah, that's why I want to do. Okay, he's not available right now, so I just sent to him and that's it.
Yeah.
We'll see. Okay, so that's why I believe the value of the Lightning design. So in my opinion, Lightning design system, it is valuable from two things. One thing, it can be actually from three points. One point, it can be used in the visual force and give you full control. Second, it can be used on completely external systems.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But again, give you the same user experience like Salesforce Lightning will give you. And third, I would think that it will be useful to use inside the Lightning components. Because Lightning components, in addition to these HTML and CSS, and JavaScript, yes, is also the messaging concept, basically. And that's they completely, independent on everything else. Yes, they're talking to outside world only through messages, and even inside the component, sometimes you're using messages. So.
Yeah, makes sense. I think that
So from this point of view.
Yeah.
What?
No, I think it helps. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. That's it. What I can share, guys.
Yeah. Thanks, Alex. So.
Okay, that's it.
Okay. Gautam, you want?
I can do that, but I will have only 15 minutes because I have to go and do the judging session.
Okay.
Okay. So give me pass on the thing. Um, the- so this is the one I did for Stella's best favorite client, Amex.
So what is the client? I'm sorry.
American Express.
Oh, American. Okay. Cool. You know what? Picture is actually frightening.
Yeah. Okay. So it gives you the kind of a background. So I'm going to switch over, go straight to the. So we put an approach to it, right? What exactly is the Lightning, the UI implementation options? It gives a fit gap analysis. It gives you, evaluate your offerings. It gives you the identify the limitations, and then because since it was I did it for American Express, so I had to mention about the POVs and all the stuff. Okay. So we all know about the Lightning experience and the Salesforce Classic, right? Right now, everybody is using a Salesforce Classic, but you get an option to switch over to Lightning, right? So let's talk about a Lightning Connect. Now, Lightning Connect, right? So there are multiple things. We have Lightning Connect, we have a Lightning Process Builder, we have a Lightning Design System, right? And so on and so forth. So Lightning Connect, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are familiar that you can basically use an external data to connect, right? You can use external data to connect to your external data. You can incorporate external data into Salesforce in a real time and not going through this freaking canvas and all the stuff, right? You can use
One small change. I believe right now the name is changed from Lightning Connect to Salesforce Connect or something like that.
yes. You're right.
Mhm.
Right now it's changed to, I think, I mean, it's difficult for me to keep track of it because every time why they change, I have no idea. But it's to me, it's like the same soap with a different wrapper. That's all.
That is true. That is true. Yeah.
Okay. You can obviously, you can. I don't know. Has anybody used Lightning Connect? Stella, you use Lightning Connect?
We try to do some proof of concept, but
Okay.
not moving forward. No.
Okay. Then going back to this is the Lightning design system. I think what Alex was talking about, right? Talking about the icons, you're talking about the font, you're talking about the design tokens, everything it comes with the LDS, right? So you get the CSS framework, you get the icons, you get the font, you get the design token, everything comes with the LDS, right? So you can, when you use LDS, you do not have to explicitly, worry about, unlike your visual force or anything else that you have, or any HTML, you have to incorporate your CSS, you have to write your, put your PNG and everything, right? So it gives you the PNG, the SVG version of that action, custom document type, custom doc type, and everything, right? So that's the Lightning design system. So this is the Lightning components, right? Now, if you look at the Lightning components, what exactly it provides? Obviously, it gives you the out-of-the-box component set, right? Which to basically to start building your app, so you can build up your app, so you can get out of the box. You can optimize your apps for devices as the components, right? Remember, you was talking about that you can use LDS within the components itself, right? Obviously, it gives you the rich component ecosystem, right? You can use a business-ready component and make them available, for in Salesforce One, right? So those are, and the which is the important part is the last part of it, which I like it very much. It's basically called the event-driven architecture, right? So you can use an event-driven architecture for better decoupling between components, right? Any component can subscribe to any application event, which is a great feature to my mind. I do not
completely asynchronous, right?
Yes. So I do not know how many people are using it, right? But I play around with this thing and it's very good. Actually, well, I don't know whether anybody use Oracle, what's called the RDS, which is the real data, which was the event-driven paradigm.
So question here. So let's say we have a page and we have like 3 components. And the third one is actually subscribing to some events.
Yes.
So whenever the event is received, one day that part is refreshed.
Yeah, exactly. And we will see that subsequently I talked about, and it will be more clear when you see the difference between your visual force versus the lightning. Okay, so this is the difference, right? I mean, it's very important to know, to my mind, is the difference between the visual force versus the lightning, right? So if you look at the framework, right, what we do, user clicks on the button or link in the markup. So that's the first layer, right? And then you go to the controller, right? So you constructor invoke, and then you basically execute a controller logic, and then you do an object paging it. Pretty straightforward, right? This is how the framework works. But if you look at it from the Lightning framework point of view, right, that will be much more clear, right? Basically, what happens in the component markup, user clicks the button on the link in the markup. Just to give you a perspective, to my mind, it's kind of the same difference that you get with servlet versus Ajax, right? So one is on the user side, one is on the server side. So that kind of stuff, right? So you have a JavaScript controller that browser raises the on-click event.
So literally 2 layers are pushed from server side all the way to client side.
Exactly, right? So if you know these two difference, it's a piece of cake, right? And then if you go to the user interface option, so in a classic Visual Force framework, what do you have? You have the robot set of tags that are resolved on the server side that will work alongside the standard or custom controller to make database and other operations simple to implement. It's pretty straightforward, right?
Okay.
User interface server side, you have a data and the business logic with the standard and custom controller, and then you can use workflow for your event, right?
Yes.
But, and obviously I gave a pros and cons because Amex wanted to know what exactly the pros and cons, why they should go to Lightning and why they should not. Then you have this Visual Force with the JavaScript app container, right? So if you look at it, it's obviously on the client side, right? So as you can see, I am building the cases slowly, right? You can use remote objects or JavaScript remoting, right? And I'm going to ask this guy today.
JavaScript remoting.
Yeah. Right? And then you can have the cons is very complex, right? So no built-in metadata integration.
Correct.
And lack of integrated developer experience, which is very important, right? Had to load them as a static resources, and that's a cumbersome experience.
And even the parsing the result object is messy.
It's a very messy, right?
I mean, Amex, we just launched a customer community using this framework.
Yeah.
So
Visual Force plus JavaScript.
plus Angular.
Angular. Okay.
Angular is different.
But Angular is part of JavaScript. Why is different?
I understand, but it has a more
control and the UI.
It is a complete MVC model.
It's a complete MVC model.
Yeah. So that's the part maybe you can talk because it's like for me, I'm struggling with 2 MVC. You know what I mean? It's like they have this MVC, then they have to talk to controller, then we have the backend MVC also. So it's actually quite complex in a way when you design.
Yeah. So I mean, I tend to avoid this thing, right? Because, I can write this thing, but somebody has to maintain it later on, right? So it's a little complex for anybody, right? Now, okay, so what do? We go to Lightning components, right? So it's a part of the new user interface framework developing dynamic web application for desktop and mobile devices. They use JavaScript at the client side and Apex at the server side.
The controller logic, does it remain the same or is it different? The Apex controller.
Actually the logic remains the same.
But the constructor.
The constructor changes. Right? Because logic is logic. You can't.
Exactly.
Right? So if you look at it, they use JavaScript at the client side and Apex pretty much at the server side to provide data and business logic, right?
But so is there a constructor at all?
Actually, no. Now that if you recall, no, it's not because you
instantiate the controller of
exactly.
Right, in constructor.
Yes.
Here you're not doing that. You just have the business logic methods.
That's all.
Oh my God, that's a huge, man.
It's a huge, right? So so user interface is obviously the client side. You have the Apex controller, right? User requests an application or a component, right? Which is a pretty straightforward. How do you request? You just make a method call and you get that.
You pass in JSON objects.
Yeah.
Very straightforward.
Very straightforward. The application or component bundle, it's returned to the client. The browser loads the bundle, the JavaScript application generates the UI.
So the so-called
Hi. I don't think we met before, Thaddeus.
I am Goko, and you'll join as a PA.
Am I messing up the recording?
Exactly.
Am I junking up a recording? Hi! Hi, Mom!
Not everybody listen to the recording is gonna hear you say hi.
So the advantage is, if you look at, it's a it will be highly interactive and immersive user experience, right? It cut through a lot of, right? It aligns with Salesforce and user interface strategy.
The so-called action methods, those are all gone, right?
That's gone. You don't need that.
Yeah, exactly.
And which is the important thing, which is the third point. It is the built-in metadata from the foundation, providing an integrated developer experience, right? So you don't have to worry about me making a separate calls and thinking about it, right?
So it is metadata aware at the client side?
At the client level.
Oh, that's huge.
That's a huge, right?
Yeah, in the old world, the JSON, the JavaScript was never aware of this metadata.
Of course not, because JavaScript was basically
completely insulated, completely
aware, right?
So now you have JSON object for account, for example.
Exactly. So think about it. I can take a JSON object, right?
And straight away start invoking.
And straight away start invoking. That should be the way.
Correct.
Because what's happening is you are binding it much better.
Much better, yeah.
Right?
Instead of explicitly passing on strings and passing.
Why would I pass a strings, right? Yeah. I mean, I can take the whole object and put it into the cache. Yeah. I'm done.
Correct. Exactly.
Right? So you have a developer console supports Lightning components. So there is an integrated developer experience, obviously. The code part is literally, right? Obviously, it's a high learning curve compared to Visual Force page. Of course, it's a high learning curve.
How is it just because it's a new learning curve, or is it just fundamentally harder?
Okay, so high learning curve, if you strictly go in the sense that I know only Visual Force,
right,
then it's a high learning curve.
Okay.
But if you understand the concept, and basically, here is my model view controller. How I use my framework in this model view controller, should I have an object already been in a JSON format and I bind it directly? Or should I explicitly define my object and do this thing, right? So those things, then it's not if the concept is very clear, then it's not a problem. But if you strictly go with I only know Apex and Visual Force, then it's a problem.
So for someone who is just coming in, who is an experienced Java programmer, would this be harder for them?
No, I don't think so.
Easier. Okay.
No. But again, as I said,
for
Java programmer, if you are a Java programmer by learning from Google, then it's going to be hard. Okay. If you're a Java programmer with a thought process, then it's not going to be.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
But I was just trying to compare this Lightning components with Visual Force plus Angular, right? Angular itself has its own MVC, but the benefits of Lightning components itself, because Salesforce provides you
Yes.
abstract level of method.
Because your
For you
Angular will not be aware about the Salesforce metadata.
Yeah, I know.
That is the key. Yeah.
That's the key.
This provides you
Yes.
an abstraction level of that metadata
Yes.
for you to achieve.
Not that is one thing. The other aspect is
Yeah.
Angular is natively expecting REST URLs behind the scene. Continuously you expose REST URLs. You don't have that here.
Yeah, exactly.
You have a controller attached
Angular
to it.
has no REST API.
How do you interact there?
How will you
Remote
interact?
VF remote. There's no API called remote. Remote VF.
What is it?
VF remote. Visual
Okay.
Force remote. And yeah, remoting. There's no interaction. We don't have Visual Force. We don't have REST API. That's the advantage. Actually, that because it's all hosted. Everything's hosted by Salesforce. And they just Angular app itself as a static resource, a zip
I
file.
have to try
Yeah.
I've tried the
We
Bootstrap.
are live. We are live.
I have to try this. It's a good point because
There's no REST.
I have tried with Bootstrap, but I have never tried with Angular.
But the advantage of C, just like you said, it has direct access to metadata in Lightning versus Angular. It's a constantly.
Obviously, it's a different framework.
Yeah, it's a different framework, right? So in a way, even though it's not REST API, it's still like it's like an integration project from my perspective.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
So that's the advantage. And think about it. Remember when they were showing is if you have a components, I can drag the components and put it in my thing, right? It's done. I do not have to do because so metadata aware exactly knows and it will generate the UI for you, so you don't have to worry about it. Right. Higher complexity than Visual Force if you are building an application, not a page, right? Since Lightning components are new, there are still some features that aren't supported, right? Which I gave it later on. And there are a limited number of out-of-the-box components, right? So which is another big problem. But But there are a lot of app exchange vendors. They are writing those components, and you can make use of those components.
This is going to grow, right?
Yes, or when you have people like Gokul, you can write your own components.
Right.
I'm telling you, you better know this guy. Seriously, I'm not kidding.
Recording, man, come on.
Seriously. Okay. So here is the user interface. Okay, I think I have to finish now because I have to go. Let me see, 24.
You have to go judge.
Yeah. Okay.
Can we actually? I'm gonna send out the recording. Can we have your PowerPoint in as well? So just PPT.
Sure.
Yeah.
Actually, it's 100 slides.
It's a big. It's that document. Okay, I know what document we're looking at.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it has everything.
So one question, Gautam. In Lightning design system, we saw four. We saw four platforms, right? Visual Force, Lightning. When would you use which platform? When will you use iOS platform for the Lightning design system? What is the relevance of those flavors?
So first of all, think it like this way. If your question, if I understood correctly, if I'm doing a mobile application, what are the things I need in the mobile application? I need to make sure that it's more dynamic. I should have the offline capability. I need to make sure it's responsive, right? I also need to make sure that it has the look and feel for it. So what are the components that I'm going to use? I'm going to use the style sheet. I'm going to have the particular behavior. So I'm going to use JavaScript, right? If I'm not talking about Lightning in general. And I should use an HTML5 because that gives me a hybrid flavor. If I do all these things, I can basically take like LDS and drop it onto the Lightning components. I'm done. Because Lightning components already made it aware. I can basically, all I have to do is take these two things, develop an application, put it in an MDM container, I am done. Right? to think about it, I have nothing to do anything else.
So my question was more like, when would you use switch flavor? I don't know if you have time, but so if you have existing Visual Force pages and you are just enable Lightning, would you use the Visual Force with the Lightning LES?
Well, so if it's a Visual Force pages and people are more used to the Visual Force, right? Should I ask them to go to the Lightning right away? I would not, because I'm a very conservative guy. I want to do the due diligence. I want to make sure that I need to know exactly what are the features that I'm using within thing, and then are those capabilities available in Lightning or not? If not, how long it's going to take, right? Yeah. So I would.
Oh, I see.
I'm not going to go and say, you know what, it looks beautiful color, go and use it.
Got it.
Okay.
But for the most part, if you're going to build
Nathan,
something new,
I hear somebody giggling in the background.
Yeah, it's Nathan. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Nathan. This session is being recorded.
Oh, so I shouldn't laugh?
especially
Okay. Well,
What? You don't have to make me the presenter. I don't have anything to show you.
The voice itself is important.
yeah. I mean, can you
I
make?
would say-
I make you a presenter. Thanks, Gautam.
Yeah.
Can you make
But-
I can make you a presenter, and then you have a white paper that you can draw, maybe something like that. I don't know.
What is it that you want me to talk about this time?
Lightning. You only talk about lightning, Nathan.
Lightning.
But you were just talking about it, and that was a good slide.
No,
Why?
see, here is the difference. You know, Richard Gere is the follower of Buddha. Hold on. Richard Gere is the follower of Buddha. So there is a difference between a Buddha versus Richard Gere. You can enlighten with the lightning. I just gave the presentation.
Okay, so tell me who's there, so I at least make sure that I have the right information for the audience.
Other than many of everybody is here.
Mark would be very
Okay,
quiet.
so-
Initially we started video conference, but then since we wanted to record a session, and then we couldn't, figure out if there's a way to record a video conference. So we
Yeah,
had
I
to
don't know.
switch to
I don't know that.
yeah.
I don't know that either. Okay, well, I mean, the thing is that, so here's the thing, is that I think I'm supposed to be presenting on this topic at Dreamforce, so I guess I better really get a slide deck together. But I actually was enjoying what Gautam was presenting because, there's a lot of topics to cover on Lightning. I guess we'll just focus on Lightning experience, right? And the starting place is to do exactly what he was just showing, which is to figure out what features you need on Sales Cloud or Service Cloud, whatever cloud you want to use, and then do a gap analysis, right? And then make sure that it fits into your time frame for when we say that we're going to deliver the functionality, but be really careful because Safe Harbor is Safe Harbor for a reason. We often don't meet some of those deadlines. So, for instance, when I talk to SEs and AEs and other people about the Financial Services Cloud, we often talk about the migration or upgrade path, right? So you have an existing Sales Cloud org and you want to install Financial Services Cloud. Well, Financial Services Cloud requires Lightning, so you have to move over all the work you have to Lightning. And the first thing to consider is what's of good enough value to move over, right? Because if you have a Visual Force page that allows like your middle office to fix addresses really easily, I don't know if that's worth putting at the top of the list, right? But if you want to start to use Lead IQ, Opportunity IQ, and all the other things that come with Lightning, then for selling, obviously those things need to move over first. Now, after that, I don't really, to be honest, I didn't know where you guys wanted to take the conversation, and usually you're all very vocal. Right now you're being really quiet, which is kind of creeping me out. But so I didn't, the only other topic I had really prepared was a few of us had gone to the training for the, I don't know what they're calling it actually, the new class they're building. We went to the alpha.
Oh, cool.
Steve was there, I was there, Sohail was there, Oleg was there.
Oleg?
Is that
And
is that the lightning component, like whatever development class that's offered?
yeah.
Oh, I was not able to attend.
Was that Oleg Rickers? Or different Oleg?
I think Oleg from Fidelity.
Okay. Okay, different guy now.
Is that? I think so. I actually don't know his last name. And I learned from Bobby. So the takeaway from that was that Lightning components are crazy.
Okay.
You need to build 8 or more things to make a Lightning component work. And that scaffolding and wiring is, I can't believe that we make people do that. But then I learned from Bobby that there's a plugin that's going to be added to the new version of the Force.com IDE, the ACDX thing, that's actually in some kind of alpha, I think. I don't know. I had the documentation somewhere, and I think I lost it when I rebooted my computer. And that thing has the capability to build the scaffolding that you need to create those components. And what would be good is, I think I have somewhere. Let's see. I was hoping to come in today. Sorry, guys. I just haven't been feeling well. I was hoping to show you. Let me see if I have the document. I was going to bring in the books.
Could you drop this out or share it? It'd be really cool to see what that scaffolding looks like.
Yeah. So let me see if I have the.
Course offered here.
Let me see if I have the for like a non-paper, because I have the printed things, but I don't have a. Let me see if I have a PDF or something, because then I'll be presenter and maybe you guys can see it. Just give me 1 second. See if I have it here somewhere. I will just admit that my work laptop is a absolute disaster area as far as file management is concerned.
Oh, come on. That's why I want to share.
It's just amazing how much junk I have everywhere. So let's see. I thought I had it here. Hold on. I swear that I downloaded all the courses. Shoot, where is it? Documents? Gonna have to search for this here somewhere. Here, I'm just gonna clean up my desktop and hopefully that helps. Goodness. Where did I lose this? Sorry, guys. I had the folder here on my desktop. I don't know what I did with it. Let's see if I open this up. Is it in here somewhere? Oh, okay. There we go. So I don't have, okay, you wanna make me
You are.
presenter. I
You
will,
are.
okay. So open these up in BB Edit. So show, what? How come this doesn't, okay. Can you see my screen? Is it too large? Because I have a big monitor here at home.
Yeah, we can. I'm pretty sure there's pixels there.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, better.
Is that better?
Yes.
That's almost
Let's see
readable.
if I just do main screen and then, is that better at all or
That's worse.
worse? Okay. Is there a way for me to scale?
It was better before.
Yeah, the one you like
Oh, was it?
was great. Yeah,
Okay. I just did this. That worked? That works?
Yes.
that's doable. We can live with that.
Okay, so these are the solutions to the exercises. So if you start with the first one, you have to create you can, so this is the thing is I think if I do that, it only shows you one. Oh, does it say 3-1 technician status app?
Yep.
Or application on? Okay, so and if I do this, does it now say 3-2 technician form?
Yep.
Okay, good. Because GoToMeeting is not. Anyway, so basically what you have to do is you have to create an application which is the master level component, and then you have to create the subcomponents, right? So this is the application, then this is the form that has the, so this thing is a little mini app that lets you see the assignments of a bunch of technicians, right? So, and then these are the application components under it. And then you have to go down and do this whole thing where you check the permissions, because you can completely bypass all the permissions that an object and fields have, which just seems terrible to me, but I guess that's the way it is. And then here's a controller behind it that lets you do the actual listing of the technicians, and then this displays it. So in order, sorry,
So
go ahead.
what I'm hearing then is there's no, while as we were hearing before, there's great metadata awareness, there's no security awareness.
Right. So you have to perform this permission check, which if you can read this, it looks for the subject name, and then it goes and gets all the fields, and then it sees which ones you can read and edit. And this tends to freak people out, because what this means is that you actually have to do if you hide a field using field level security now,
Yep.
it doesn't respect that at all here. So you actually have to go through and make this more sophisticated to even just not even pass it into the UI.
Because essentially it's pulling every device and then choosing what to display.
Yeah, so it will, while you can use this to, how can I just summarize this? So in field level security, if you don't have ability to work on that field, you don't even know it exists as a user, right? In this case, you know it exists, but you just can't see it or do anything with it. And lots of people find that as as bad.
So you would have to do something that prevents it from being loaded onto the
Yeah, and so there's no good example. There's no good example of that here, but
that's ugly.
yeah, I don't think in the, let me see if in downloads I have any of the I don't have the deck. I just have the exercises. I have the book that has the deck in it, right?
That's okay.
Let
This
me
is
see.
helpful.
Let me see if I can. I don't even know if I have the org anymore to show it to you because it was. I think it was only good for a few days and then it got killed. Um, so I'm trying to because in the book is a really good set of slides that shows you the relationship between the, and I was hoping to bring this in today, sorry everyone, that shows you a relationship between the application, the components, and these other, the Aura component and how they relate together to build the application, right? And I guess the only thing in my not feeling well unprepared presentation I can give you guys here is that you need, if you see how these ones called form, right? So you have this component called form, and then you have form init handler, form controller, form helper, form iteration, event handler, helper, controller. I mean, that's many, many pieces to actually make a clickable form that displays information. And that's the thing I walked away from this being sort of astonished by. And then when I was chatting around saying, 15 years ago, Spring MVC had plugins for Eclipse that allowed you to wire the scaffolding for something like this. Bobby pointed out that the ACDX component is supposed to make this easier for you and make it a little more user-friendly. Clicky, as you might say. But I didn't know if this is what you really wanted to talk about because the subject was like getting ready for Lightning. But I found this, to be really fascinating, this component concept to be really fascinating because while it's um, uh, uh, um, the next great thing we're offering, and it is really cool when you think about it. Like, right, you can buy components, you can build your own components. When you get the hang of it, it's not, it's really doable. But if you, I don't really think that that's where most people are going to start when they think about the Lightning experience. So I didn't know if there was other stuff you wanted to talk about Lightning.
So in a way, that just means the learning curve, at least now, to develop a Lightning component is pretty high, right? Just all the things.
Uh, um, so if you, so it's a little bit of a hard question to answer because if you, succinctly, because if you think, I didn't find it complicated, but if you think about how people generally enter into development in our ecosystem, a lot of people were administrators and then they had to write some Apex and so they started learning Visual Force or Apex or whatever, right? Yep. And then they got a little bit more sophisticated as time went on, right? Whatever. But I don't think that that's possible in this case until there's better tooling because while I don't find these things to be overly complicated, right? You have variable declarations, you have some, component, you have different annotations, right? You use annotations like here Aura enabled, right? It I don't know if a lot of people who don't do how can I say this, normal programming are used to this methodology, right? And as far as I see it, we don't do a good job explaining to people what the stack looks like so that you can understand that like, oh, the stack has 8 layers, so you need 8 things, one for each layer for it to work. And maybe when that ACDX thing comes out of Dreamforce, it won't matter for most people, but oh boy, do I think that this is, a problem.
Yeah, because I throw myself certainly into that camp, right? Any programming I've ever done in my life is, if you can even call it programming, it's a little bit of a reach, but it's been an Apex, right? So something like this, and I've actually done some of these
What about
courses.
what about TV programming? You did?
I don't watch TV, so I'm good on that account. But it's very intimidating to have all that stuff there, and I would suspect that a lot of those different pieces could probably default with some basic assumptions, and if you're trying to do sophisticated stuff, you've got to mess with them, right? Like the security.
I'm having a hard time hearing you sometimes, Thaddeus, like the last sentence I missed.
Oh, that's usually not a problem. Oh, you heard that one. All right, that's recorded. So just I would think that
We're all friends here, so I didn't mean it. I didn't mean anything by
it. Like for instance, the security thing, the security piece that you showed us, I would expect that in 90% of the time, it would just be a set of defaults, right? It should always be sort of the same thing. And then if for some reason you've got a couple of fields where you've got field level exclusions for certain profiles, you need to open this up. Otherwise, you never need to think about it, right? It seems
yeah, I would say that you could probably use this this check permission thing universally if it's good enough, right? I mean, that's kind of the idea of separation of concerns, right?
Yep.
So it's called here, right? So basically, I don't know if hopefully you can see my screen, like check permissions, check all permissions, right? On contact, field to access, right? It's trying to figure out what's going on, right?
Yep.
And in theory, because it's passing in the object name, you should be able to use it on any object. I think the concern most of us had when we saw this was all the weird edge cases that we know exist at our customers, right?
Right.
And how do you make a universal version of this? You know, I don't remember whether or not the instructor or anybody said to me that what's coming is an implementation of this in the data service layer, because these are Aura data services, right, that you're using here. So but I hope so. If not, then I bet if we went out and searched for a better version of check permissions, people have probably written ones that do a little bit more of the heavy lifting. But this one would work in probably 60% of the time, 70% of the time, right?
Right.
Yeah. Was that what you were asking?
Yeah, it's exactly what I was thinking about. So from a point of view of like the larger developer community of less sophisticated developers working in less environments, there's fewer edge cases. If you could turn people loose with this set up as like a default class that then you have to open up or manipulate if you've got an edge case, then that would probably work for people, right?
Yeah, you can. It's interesting because people made the argument. Well, you can write Apex Visual Force, without sharing, right? It's not that hard. You just put that keyword in there, and it does exactly the same thing. I guess the thing that concerned a lot of us was this is the other way around, right? Unless you forcibly look for the security, you won't find it. Whereas the other way around, you have to forcibly not look for it.
Right.
I don't know if that made sense. Sorry.
Well, it's also it's just without sharing. It's just a keyword. This is a heck of a lot more than a keyword.
Yeah. So I don't know how much you guys know, but I sort of been working with Lightning, I guess more than a year now, right? And it is pretty amazing, and it is really cool. It's just the thing and I've been on some calls with people who are reasonably high ranking in the company, having conversations about why Lightning adoption has been so poor. And a lot of that is, well, hey, you announced it, and then our own website said it was beta for a long time, and the tooling doesn't really exist, and then you couldn't put components on the home page, and then there was all that gap analysis stuff that Gautam was showing before, which is real, right? It's real. It's not insignificant. So if you take all that combined, and the fact that there hasn't been a class on how to do much with Lightning for most of our community, well, I think a year later, that seeing adoption relatively slow is not an unreasonable situation. I think what's been happening as a result of those conversations, a lot of this, that's why this class, the fire was lit to get this class going, and you see a lot of development going into it. It and it's a carrot and stick thing too. You're going to see more and more things that aren't being deployed into the classic UI, and they're being deployed into Lightning only. Like I believe all of the IQ stuff is only in Lightning, right? That's an example.
I have a very fundamental question to ask you, right? I mean, I'm not asking as a PA, I'm just asking from the client point of view, right? If I'm using Visual Force for pay, in Visual Force and Apex and everything, right? And my team is relatively a good development team. What exactly, why should I go to the Lightning? What is the additional benefit or the driving? I'm not talking about the good color and everything. What is my benefit from the refactoring cost point of view?
Well, you can break down what now are business processes that take 3 or 4 pages and clicking out to lookups and related lists and all that stuff, and make it much easier for the user to do that. There are business processes that are really complicated that we don't easily emulate, or not emulate, implement in the classic UI, right?
Hey, this is Faye. I'll jump in with some stuff. Hey guys.
We cannot hear you, Faye.
You can't hear me? All right.
No.
So that's one answer. The other answer is new features. I mean, they're threatening, if that's the word you can use. That's the carrot and stick, right? It's the stick. That new features are just not going to come into Classic, and you see it already. It's already happening.
But
it's not like Visual Force.
There are,
Sorry, go ahead.
A lot of limitations still exist, right? So if I'm a CIO or if I'm a chart architect, at the end of the day, it's not only the features or it's not only the bells and whistles. It is the cost and what benefit that does give it to me, considering still there are a lot of limitations.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair question. I mean, but not everyone has the same answer, right? If you value the engagement that Lightning might give you versus Classic because it helps you sell more, then that's an answer. If you don't, it's the different answer, right?
Okay.
If you care about the IQ stuff, the opportunity IQ, the sentiment analysis, the email stuff that's coming in the next couple releases, then you need to move to Lightning, right? Sales processes are very linear and rigid right now. They won't be soon under Lightning. They'll be non-linear. Already you're seeing, so I keep thinking to myself, like, already you're seeing, but I don't know how widely this has been demonstrated, to be honest, because I've seen it, but it might still be being in some of the next TDDs or something. I'm not sure, but you can hover, in the Lightning opportunity screen where you have the chevrons, right? You can hover over them or click on them. I can't remember, and it gives you the next suggested steps to move it to the next step in the sales process, and that's only going to get more sophisticated with some of the investments we're making around the IQ products.
And there's little the graphs that are embedded into the list views and stuff, right? There's a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah. And account insights, right? I mean, that just doesn't really exist in Classic, right? You can kind of fudge it, but I got to my last 3 accounts, the upper level salespeople were like, what I want is when the person when the contact calls, or when I call the contact, I know if they're red, so I need to tread carefully. They're yellow, so I need to like be thoughtful, or green. This is someone we're good with, right? I want to know the trending over my last 10 sales things with this contact, right? That's all in the IQ subsystem, and that is Lightning only. And I think sometimes if you're a PA in a company where selling is not the primary objective, and I know that's a strange thing to say, because why wouldn't it be? But some organizations, the implementation is much more focused on sales enablement versus account servicing, and they really are two different kind of mindsets.
Yes.
But sales enablement in Lightning is amazing. The stuff
it really is. It's way different. Yeah.
Yeah.
The salespeople in our existing, customer base, the ones who have gone to our events, like, the Dreamforce and these other events, like, they want this badly. And then their organization, their IT teams are saying,
here, take my wallet.
They're kind of pounding down the door saying, why not? Why can't we? Right?
Yeah, I agree with Faye. Totally.
I think that's a very valid point, right? So very valid point, and especially a lot of greenfield customer, like the one that I just finished, they want to know the sales coach, right? So sales coach gives them, what are the sales stages that they can go through and how it is differentiated. So you're saying those things are very good in Lightning, and that's one of the.
Well, they don't exist outside of Lightning.
Okay.
Yeah, so it kind of breaks down into a couple of different things. So I think, as Nathan was pointing out, there's the whole aspect of what comes kind of the standard out-of-the-box capabilities, right? And where are those new ones getting created for, right? So those are all getting created. All the new cool things are kind of getting created more on the Lightning side, right? So if they want those, then they're going to want to switch over to that. But part of why they're getting created on the Lightning side is because it enables it more. So whether you're using those or whether you're, creating your own, you have much more capabilities for this like dynamic experience, right? So push notifications, things that are more responsive. The whole way that it works enables these things in a much easier way. It was hard for them to do some of these things in the old UI, right? It was very constrained. So now it's a whole new kind of ballpark with new rules, and the way that it's structured is much more enabling, and that's why they did do this, right? It also, for things where, let's say you don't want to use completely standard, but you also don't want to jump off into completely custom either. The whole way that things like layouts are structured, there's these assembled components. You don't have to replace an entire layout because, let's say you want a special little lookup field or something. Make your own little lookup field. You can place it into a layout. Or you can completely rearrange a layout to have some standard elements and some custom elements. That whole hybrid experience is the whole thing is it's a component-based framework, right? So instead of this all or nothing, you're on one side or the other, it's much more kind of componentized, right? I can take some of these and some of those and assemble them in different ways and so forth, right?
And it's a really different way of thinking about how you assemble a solution, which I think is neat. I don't know if you can. Sorry, I'm trying to show you my
mobile versus desktop, and having these be much more compatible, kind of using the same elements, whether I'm on mobile or desktop. It's again much more designed for that from the ground up, right?
Can you guys see my screen or?
Yeah.
No, we just lost it.
I think one of the things, Faye, you just mentioned, which is very valid point, is to my mind, it's a component-based framework, right?
Right, and it's event-based. I think that's another key one. It's event-based, where the other wasn't. You have to refresh the page.
Yes, that's a very good point as well.
It's event-based, and it's functioning on the client side. So
Yes.
it's
Can you see this?
That is,
Can you see this, everyone? Yeah. So this is although this is hard to read, you can see this is Salesforce IQ, Lead IQ, Opportunity IQ, Suggested Activity, Predictive Forecasting. This is not pipe dream. This is happening, and you can go in, you can start to see, why this matters, right? Leave aside predictive journeys, but because I don't really know where that stands right now. But this stuff is really awesome. This is really a product differentiator between us and what everyone else in CRM is focusing on. How do you be smarter about how you're scoring and managing your leads, and how email, that's a journey builder. But sorry, I'll find another slide down here somewhere. This is the architecture, and oh yeah, here's some of the timeline. So where they're looking to have inbox and activity is before, and then post Dreamforce is a little bit more of the and then 17 is where they want to really have it, which I know is far away. So, but still, and this is not like this is not some special thing. I just happened. I don't know if you guys know who Meredith is, but I happened to hear her speak at an EBC recently, and she familiarized me with a bunch of this. And also, what I want to just show you real quick is, I can show you this one. Let me see if I can make this zoom in a little. This. You guys can see this, right? This is all only Lightning, right?
Yeah, so it's the platform itself, which is updated, but then it's the whole kind of experience. They did a whole set of research in terms of the user experience through sales and through these other things, and it's all incorporated into this, right? So it's how all of those are assembled together, and they've kind of revamped it.
Right, and to Faye's point, right, it's the line between mobile and desktop is blurred, right? So you have things like Lightning Voice, only available in Lightning. Lightning Console for Sales, only Lightning, right? Account Insights, you can get all this information about what's going on with your account, only Lightning. Advanced Insights, I think that's not quite there yet, but maybe it is.
Here is what I would like to. Here's what I want to say too, right? And please do not get me wrong with this. No way, shape, or form it's an excuse. So you just showed me a lead scoring, predictive lead scoring, right? Which is very, very important when you are primarily dependent on organization, on a heavy marketing focused organization, right? So you can do a predictive lead scoring. Now, if as a PA, I might talk about that, not knowing that this is available within Salesforce. So is that an expectation from PA that at least all of us should know everything what's available within Salesforce?
Of course, or know somebody who knows it, and know enough to find it out and figure it out. Yeah, you're the front face. You don't have to know all things in depth, but you're the front face. So you have to be able to kind of find a way to connect it if it's relevant, right?
Yeah, someone asked that question, right, at the summit, and Parker kind of sarcastically but truthfully answered, that's job security.
I was there when he answered that question.
Right.
Yeah.
And Nathan, this IQ Cloud platform, is that another product that's part of the Force.com platform?
I didn't understand the question, Stella. Sorry.
What is the IQ Cloud platform? Is this a separate product?
No. No.
So is it part of the Force.com platform?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you go down and look down here, you can start to see how it starts to link up.
So, I mean, I think, Nathan makes a really good point, which is all of this new cool stuff is kind of going in the Lightning direction. So if they want to leverage any of that, but even even if they don't, right? So there's that other side of it. So there's the the platform side of itself, and then the component marketplace, I think, is actually really valuable too, and it's only in its very beginning, right? It's a very small marketplace now. The idea that, I mean, little things like how many of your customers have asked for an Excel-like grid, right? Everyone that I've ever been to wants something like that, and a lot of them they either buy something like GridBuddy or they create something themselves, and it's a maintenance nightmare, right? So, there's like components out there that are free now. So there's one from the lab, and it gives you Excel-like capabilities, right? Here's a grid. And so there'll be more of those, right? Or so things like this, and now you can drop it any place. You can drop it into the community. You can drop it into a layout. You can drop it into a custom page. Like that is really powerful. And the idea that now, customers, so whether they create their own, maybe they're not that sophisticated, maybe they won't, right? But if they do, it can be used anywhere, and it can be parameterized, and you just do this kind of drop it in and do the parameters on the side. It's much more designed for that level of reuse, right? So if you find people where they're just kind of cut and pasting all over the place, right, to do all these things with, just a tiny bit of difference here, there, or the other place, like the ability to get rid of all of that and consolidate things is huge, right?
So there's an actual simplification of the architecture that a customer is managing, is what you're saying, potentially.
Say that again. I couldn't quite hear it.
Why can't you even hear me today? So that's would be that funny. So essentially, what you're saying is, if in certain circumstances, this could actually be a simplification of the architecture that the admin or IT team is working with.
Yeah, because this is so much more, maybe a different way to put it is it changes the line, right? A lot of the stuff that people are having to do custom now won't be custom anymore, because maybe another way to look at it is because there's 10 places to change the configuration to give the end user what they want. That means it's more flexible. That also means that they might be able to get in trouble easier, but it's no better. But you guys asked the question, but think about this. I hope you can see this screen that says collaborate with teams.
Yep.
Think about how awful this UI is in the current implementation versus this, where you're trying to add opportunity sales teams, whatever you want to call them, right? This is, how is this not better?
No, of course. I mean, it's really, really much better thing, and I think that is one of the main thing that draws the attention of a client. Like, I like this colorful bells and whistles from the product manager, but the reality is also a little different. So that's what I was more going towards. That okay, I understand that everything is the thing, but what it gives me additionally that I need to have it in Lightning, so it makes sense, and you give me the answer about lead coding and about sales coach. Those are very important factors for business.
Yeah, and what I've seen successful is get one of the Sales Cloud people, the product people, to present this to your customer, or if you don't want to. I mean, they're really good at it. I mean, they spent this Meredith. I was amazed by her. She spent 2 hours talking to my customer about what Lightning can and can't do, what's coming in Lightning, and excited them about it, and she knew kind of what to hit on for them versus what's not important. But I think you need to go back to what Faye and I were sort of saying a few minutes ago. It really has the most impact on heavily selling organizations right now. So that may change, but I would say that that's going to be the case for the next 18 months, maybe 2 years, right? Because that's where we're pouring all the money in, because that's where the money is, right? If you enhance sales pipeline and closing deals, the rest of it just follows.
Well, the service console, the Lightning version of the service console, is interesting too. Have you gone through that much?
CTI, but CTI doesn't work in it.
What doesn't?
That's CTI doesn't work in it right now, so that's a big problem.
Yes.
So
That's an oops.
yeah, so stay away from that for the time being for a call center.
But I mean, so it also, and then there's this whole, so, your first question, Gautam, I think you were saying something like, if it was a brand new customer, would you go to it now, right? Was that what you were saying early on?
Yeah.
I feel like for a new customer, you should at least try to see what are the blockers, if any, and kind of how to work. It's going to be that much harder, and this is the problem with us now. Like, the deeper they're ingrained with the current, then the harder it is to switch over. But if we can try to switch earlier rather than later, I think it's going to be easier, and there is a lot of value there, right? So clearly there are limitations. If those limitations are blockers, don't do it. But if there aren't, that would be a good way to start off. It'd be a nice clean start, right? However, most of our customers have been deeply ingrained for years, and they've been doing lots of things that can make it very, very complex to try to switch over. So then it talks about you're probably not going to do all or nothing. You probably can't move everything and everyone at once. So you have to figure out some sort of a roadmap strategy and say, okay, well, maybe just this one team will do one profile and try to do everything for them. Or maybe this one piece will just do it as an app and move that over. Or maybe we'll start kind of building some stuff over on the side and we have this piece, so you have to figure out a strategy that actually works, right?
Yeah, so one of the things that I did at Amex is my approach was any new development that planning to do it in Lightning and not do it in Visual Force because it doesn't make sense, because then there'll be a cost involved and everything to migrate to it, right? So any new development that should become into the subsequent major releases, so they were doing it through Lightning. Yeah.
And this comes to that whole the hybrid existence in terms of, and I think things started changing because originally it was you either had a Visual Force or you had a Lightning, but the idea that you can kind of have that coexistence, right, that changes things too, right? Yep. Can you embed a Lightning component of Visual Force? Can you embed a Visual? And so those two things are a big deal, probably, right? To be able to come up with some sort of a strategy of how do you get from here to there.
Cool.
So I put up this last slide because, it gets to a little bit of going. I mean, you can see, I don't know if you can see where my mouse is, get more on the App Exchange. Here's your custom ones that you've written, I guess one's called steroid chart. That's a little weird.
It's Health Cloud. It's the Health Cloud.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I'm guessing.
Okay. Or the Olympics cloud. And
this is the Russian version.
Yeah. And then you have the the standard components, and think about it. I mean, it just means we can churn out more and more components, and we can give them to you in a way that says, what field do you want wired where, right? Because in that hierarchy of the pieces required for the component, you could see that you could modify the data layer to wire to the UI layer. I hope that makes sense. I mean, to me, this is just kind of awesome, right? Is it there yet? PE wasn't supported until recently. So platform encryption, sorry, which it is now, which is just a non-starter for a lot of organizations.
Or what about, separation of concerns in terms of so my customer, if they have an SI, I want them to do some development, but they want some piece of it to be done in-house or vice versa, how do you separate that? That's been kind of sticky and difficult sometimes in the past. This makes it clearer to say okay, you do this component, I do this one, or I assemble these components, right? It makes it easier to do that sort of thing. It also makes it easier, I remember back in with Aperio at one of my customers, and they have this whole model, which is they send it out to the cloud folks, I think it's called, right? So they have everything, like this is their job. They come on site as the consultant. They come in and figure out, here's all the things that are needed. We break it down into these different, essentially, stories, and then we put it out into a marketplace for people to bid on it, right? Oh, you want something that does one of these? Okay, put it out to bid on. Even for like UI design, they would like put it out to bid. So we have 3 potential designs for this, right? So it makes that sort of a model actually work a lot easier. People could just like you put it out to a marketplace, give me a component that does X, right?
Yeah, actually you're right, because I mean, you know that Amazon works like this way, right? Amazon has a complete marketplace where you go and pick anything that you want, right? Even in your environment. If you want a virtual image of VMware, you can go and choose that. So I think we should do a component store, right? Like App Store, all the components are there.
Yeah, see where it says get more in the App Exchange? It's
well, that's what we have now. So that's the App Exchange, and now there's a component marketplace as well. So that's if somebody creates one and they want to, have an open selling into the world. But I'm saying the opposite. I want something specific, and I'm going to put it out there to the developer community. Who wants to create this custom thing for me, and who's going to do it for the least amount? Who's the highest rated who will do it for the least amount of money or something? And
so like a TaskRabbit for components.
Exactly. Exactly.
Source community. It sounds like an open source
Sign
community.
me up for that. It'd probably be less stress than this job.
But that exists already. That's what I'm saying. So there is a place where that exists where you can set stuff out and people kind of bid on it. I'll do that job for.
Does it?
Oh yeah.
Actually, it's really cool. It's really well architected.
Where's that?
I forget the name.
I will send you a link.
Yeah.
I think it's Cloud Spokes it's called, but they might change the name.
Yes, you're right. That's it.
What is it?
Babe, Cloud Spokes.
Cloud Spokes. What is that?
It's a marketplace where you basically open source your
Topcoder.
Topcoder
now?
Topcoder.
Topcoder.com?
Yeah. Look at Topcoder.
There it is. Topcoder.com/category/cloudspokes.
Okay.
Or, yeah.
Topcoder.com. Hey, your name is there?
No. I'm busy enough, thanks.
Right, so hey, then challenge. Nathan,
I'm going to need
challenges.
I'm sorry. Sorry, say again?
Click on the challenges. At the top, yeah. That's where you post, right? So, and Aperio actually owns them, so a lot of times what Aperio will do in their projects is they'll find pieces of things that could be, like we'll put it out there. And so they come back with like 4 designs for the customer to choose from.
And where should I go? Then to the application development.
Is he happy or not? I can't tell.
Oh, I thought that was your picture. Oh my God.
I think he's been just pinched on the butt. That's the way he likes it.
That's not much.
It's too funny. On Friday, 5:30.
Yeah, I was going to say, I actually need to drop off because I have another client call at 5:30. So unless there's anything else, I need to go get ready for that, if that's cool.
Yeah, thank you, Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
sorry I wasn't there in my usual fun self. I'm not feeling so well. So.
Yeah.
You're missing a great dinner tonight.
And we are missing you. So.
Yeah, we miss you. Faye, are you coming for dinner or not?
I'm about to head there, so hopefully I'll catch you in time.
Well,
Okay, cool.
sorry I'm missing it, everyone. Enjoy dinner.
Nathan, feel better, okay?
Yeah, get out.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Okay, go.
Where should we go?
Bye, Alex, if you're still there.
Yeah, so Topcoder.
Hi, guys.
Bye-bye.
I would just read about.
Are you coming for dinner?
No. Talk
Alright,
to you
bye.
later, guys.
Have a good weekend.
Enjoy it. You too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, if I end,
It would record it and then ask you to convert it to